Racing icon, Indiana legend, and a man who's racing this weekend in a top fuel car at the NHRA U.S. Nationals happening right here on the west side of Indianapolis. Tony Smoke Stewart. Smoke, great to chat with you again. Obviously, you're an Indiana legend, and every time U.S. Nationals comes to town, we get a chance to catch up with you. How has the season been? This weekend's the biggest race of the year. How are the cars? We just saw the new livery, new paint scheme on the outside of his race. Look at these bad boys. Look at these bad boys. We just got a chance to debut this. Let's fast forward if we could. If we could. Boom! Look at these beautiful things.
Damn.
Woo. Hey, they look beautiful. Okay, so brand new paint job for the U.S. Nationals this weekend at NHRA. That was a debut right there to you, to me, to the entire crew. What is the symbolism behind this? And are we just American muscle about to go 330 miles an hour down the track?
Yeah, this is to celebrate Direct Connections' 50th anniversary. So to do a throwback paint scheme, and the U.S. Nationals this weekend. This is the Super Bowl for drag racing for NHRA. So the biggest event of the year. It's in our backyard. Obviously, this is a home race for us, and obviously Dodge is a great partner of ours. So having them here and being able to debut the paint schemes, and we even got a chance to drop you down in an 11,000 horsepower funny car for a minute.
Yeah, I got to smell the Hemi.
Oh yeah,
I got to feel that Hemi right in front of me. And you just mentioned how many horsepower?
Over 11,000.
Okay, 11,000 horsepower in the engine. Very nice sports car that you're driving around. Let's say you see a Mustang, so it's 600. That's like 600, 700 horsepower is absurd for a car. 700 horsepower is insane for a 11,000 horsepower in these cars, and they're going how fast in a quarter mile?
Over 330 miles an hour and 1,000 feet.
Jeez. If we could bring a still shot up from that drone shot, so we can talk about each car individually, because they are two different cars, but they both have same engine. If we could go a little bit more so we can get the full aspect of that one. The one on the the one on the left there is the funny car, right?
That's the funny car, and then the long, skinny one is the top fuel dragster.
Okay, so the funny car is kind of shaped after a car. I saw there was some like details, like fake lights on the front and everything like that. I sat down in that thing. 11,000 horsepower right in front of your lap. That's what separates that, plus the design for the top fuel? Or how do we get two different 11,000 horsepower engines in two different cars? That just feels like we're doing a lot.
I think the biggest thing and the biggest variable is the car I drive with the top fuel dragster, the motor is behind me. So if something happens, it blows up, it catches on fire, the fire is behind me and I'm going away from it. Matt Hagan that drives that funny car that you sat in and warmed up, if that blows up, you are going into the fire. I mean, and not a little fire. This isn't like a matchbook that catches on fire. This is nitromethane burning, and you're driving into it. So I think the funny car guys,
seems safe.
I think they're crazy. I think they're nuts.
Yeah.
So I didn't have any of those thoughts whenever I sat down in the car.
Yeah, well, we didn't tell you that part because we thought you might not want to get in it.
We do have footage of that, and I believe we're trying to transfer it right now to the computer because it literally just happened. But I'll tell you, when you started that thing up,
oh my God, you can feel it.
I could feel it.
Yeah.
You could smell it. You could sense it. You could feel
buds.
it. I had a gas mask on like it was back in college. You know what I mean? And we were trying to find some Jesus Christ in there. And whenever that thing started up, I could feel it. And it was 1,000 degrees. I mean, today's a very hot day in Indianapolis, Indiana. I had earplugs in. I had a gas mask on. Obviously, you're standing right next to me with neither of those things, so I appreciate you doing that. But then once those wheels started rolling, it was incredibly How long does it take to build one of these engines, and how many people are doing that? Because obviously the engineering of this entire thing is the show, I assume.
Yeah, these guys can service this car, so that car can come back from a run. They take the body off like we did to put you in the car. That's how they service the car. They can literally turn that around in 40 minutes and be ready to run again.
How long does this take to build this particular engine here?
Total time from start to finish, I don't know the man hours it takes to do that, but literally just to service the car. So once that car makes a run, the pistons, the rods come out of it, the blower comes off of it. They service everything. New pistons, new rods, new spark plugs, new heads, new headers. All of that gets changed out in 40 minutes and is ready to go back on the racetrack.
I felt alive, Tony.
Ready to go.
Tony, I felt alive in there.
I didn't get a chance to physically look at the bottom of the seat because I think there's a chance he might have wet himself.
No.
Just saying.
I've been out to the track over there where the U.S. Nationals are. I used to live in that area. All week ahead of the race, you hear them practicing at night. You hear the sound because of how loud these engines are, and I assume there'll be some neighbor that will complain. We've seen you race NASCAR, IndyCar, dirt car. Now you're racing top fuel car. Have you ever done? You just like racing things? Is that kind of how we got to this point? And how much fun is this particular style of racing versus maybe the long-term track racing and everything like that?
Yeah, this is polar opposite of what I did in NASCAR. NASCAR, I was in the car for 3.5 hours. Now the run lasts 3.5 seconds. So, and we're talking everything is to the thousandth of a second, not tenth of a second, hundredth of a second. To the thousandth of a second is what makes a difference in these cars.
And the get off is the big deal, right? The tree happened. That's so. Let's say we're watching this weekend because I assume there's a lot of people that just saw how sweet those cars looked and just heard what you said and say, I'll check that out. I will see what these cars are able to do. The reaction time is the most important part of this entire thing.
For the driver, it is. As soon as those lights change, once both drivers pre-stage and stage, then the next thing you see is the 3 amber lights on both sides at the same time. And as soon as the driver sees those lights, they hit the gas and off you go.
Shit's on.
Yeah.
How much driving are you doing during that?
Yeah.
Hopefully not a lot. but they don't, as much as the track is straight, I mean, it is dead straight every time. The car never goes dead straight every time.
Connor has a question for you.
So how do you get your reflexes ready? You're not just obviously walking out of your bus and getting into the car and lights come on and you're going. Do you have any routines, things you do before a race to kind of get your brain ready, to get your feet pedal to the metal ready, because it doesn't really sound like your hands on the wheel too much?
Yeah, honestly, and it's something that I've struggled with even this year. Last year, I was running a top alcohol dragster that ran in the 270, 280 mile an hour range, and still had to go through the same thing on reaction times. But now I came from cars where I was going to be in there for 3.5 hours, so I got in there and tried to get calm because I was going to be in there a while.
Yeah.
Now I'm doing the opposite. Now I'm having to try to get my heart rate up. I'm trying to get my energy up. I'm trying to get like I'm getting ready to go into a fight. That's what you have to have, that energy when you get in there, because everything is on that reaction time on the light for the driver. So.
And it's 130 degrees in there.
Oh, over that.
So hot. I mean, I was just cooking in there I didn't have the suit on. I didn't have the helmet on. Didn't have the whole thing firing. It was so hot. So having to deal and navigate with all those things, I guess, and you're saying it's milliseconds of reaction time for U.S. Nationals win or loss. That's insane to think the amount of pressure on every single second. Go ahead, Ty.
Yeah, when you take all that into consideration, obviously it's only 3.5 seconds or whatever, but how physically demanding is the whole process? Do you have to be in good physical condition going up? And I assume you're sweating like crazy in there. And also we're talking 11,000 ponies under the hood. How physically demanding is it trying to actually control that thing?
Something I didn't think about and never factored into it when I started driving these cars. I didn't think it was that physical. And I've always watched as a fan and watched it on TV. And I'm like, why are these guys out of breath? I mean, we can hold our breath in a swimming pool for almost a minute. And these guys make a sub 4 second run and they get out and they're breathing heavy and this and that. And it's because your heart rate and everything's so high. But when you hit the gas, you get up to 6.5 Gs. And then when you throw the chutes at the end to slow down and stop, it's another 6 Gs the opposite direction. So you have a 12 G swing with your body weight, your helmet, everything. Everything in that car is going back when you hit the gas. And as soon as the chutes come out, it tries to throw you through the windshield.
AJ has a question for you from Ohio.
I know in NASCAR, a lot of the cars are very similar, and they try to have parity, and I guess a lot of cars are very similar to each other, and it's kind of hard to separate from the pack. Is it the same in these, the funny car and when you're drag racing, or is this more, hey, it's on the driver and your reaction time, and whoever jumps it usually wins?
There's a lot less rules as far as compared to NASCAR. NASCAR is so micro. I mean, they measure everything to the thousandth of an inch, and there's still rules in NHRA that is the same way, but you're sitting there taking an 11,000 plus horsepower car and trying to make it go 1,000 feet as fast as you can. The body being off 1,000th of an inch here or there, that's not going to make the difference to those guys, to the sanctioning body. So the rules are way more relaxed, but everybody really is just trying to manage an 11,000 plus horsepower car and trying to get the maximum grip on the racetrack for what the track conditions are.
How do we feel about our car going into the week? Our cars going into the weekend. We feel good?
I think so. I know Matt and Dickie on the funny car side, they're excited about it. They've really started hitting their stride right before the playoffs. This is our last race before the playoffs start for us. So this is a big weekend. It's 1.5 points. The top fuel side, we've struggled all year until the last 2 events, and luckily we're getting hot at the right time. We set records multiple times at the last event. I finally went 334.7 mile an hour in the top fuel car. So it was a...
Hey, that's smoke, baby.
Yeah.
That's why that's smoke driving right there.
There could have been bombs going off beside the racetrack, and I wouldn't have known it was going on.
What's it look like? 334 miles an hour?
It's tunnel vision. It
really?
is very much
They
tunnel
say,
vision.
what do some people say, slows down almost? Is that...
It does when you get more comfortable, but that's the first time I'd been that fast. The previous event, the fastest we had ran, which was the quickest run we'd made all year was 331 miles an hour. So granted, 3 mile an hour doesn't sound like much, but you're talking 3 mile an hour and it's accelerating at 1,000 feet. So when it made that pass and it ran 3.68 seconds, that was the quickest elapsed time that I had in the run, and I knew it was fast. I didn't know how fast the numbers were, didn't know how fast the mile an hour was, but I knew at half track how hard it was accelerating, that this was on a run.
And what, you're just eyeballing the finish line, or what are you? Yeah, that's the whole time.
Yep.
And everything is just
It comes by
334
very
miles an
fast.
hour
Yeah.
in a quarter mile.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So that is, but this weekend weather should be perfect, right? Conditions look like it's going to be great for all cars.
Yeah, we would not like to race in the conditions we have today. It is hot out there. And
How
then the
come? How
asphalt,
come?
Well, the asphalt gets hot, the rubber gets hot, and when it does, it gets greasy and it gets slippery. So instead of running 335, for example, you might be running in the 332, 331 range on a track like this.
334 feels like winning. That feels like a winning mile per hour.
Yeah, if you can run in the mid 330s like that, you're normally laying down a good run.
Hell yeah, Tony. You feel like you're figuring it out? Feel like you're
Starting to. I mean, it's only taken 40 plus years in my racing career, and now I'm driving a car that I have really struggled to get used to this, because like we said, everything was always in motion and it was a long race, where now it's short races. You have a couple hours in between runs, and then you got to get yourself up. You got to be ready, amped up. And then the car is going to go from 0 to 330 miles an hour in less than 1,000.
Force family was the big family of drag racing, right?
Still are.
Still in the daughters, I believe, and I don't want to say grandkids, but that family was the big drag racing family, right? Is there any
Yeah.
other notable names that we should look out for either this weekend or in the sport as the history?
Well, you got Cruz Petragon that drives the Dodge. You've got you got drivers
Cruz,
like
a good
Ron
name
Cash,
for the drag racing.
Sean
Petragon,
Brown.
come on.
You got some really cool racers. Steve Torrance. Austin Prox here from the west side of Indianapolis. There's some great drivers in the competition this year. Of the 4 years that I've really been involved with NHRA, hanging around my wife Leah and everything, in both the top fuel and funny car classes, it's the most competitive I've ever seen it.
Your wife's a racer, right?
Yeah.
I believe that is, because last time you were on the show, I don't know if you guys were married yet.
Yeah, we were.
You just but it was like you were with it was like racers, right? Is that was the accurate story of the romance?
The reason that I'm driving the car is because she's 7 months pregnant.
Congratulations!
Oh yeah.
Thank you. So
that is awesome.
Probably not a good idea for her to be driving a 330 mile an hour race car and sitting in 100.
But she did, right? That was like her gig.
Yeah.
And she will get back to that whenever she's.
Yeah, that's the plan, is for her to get back in top fuel cars. She has this really bad idea that she wants us to build a second top fuel team, so when she comes back, I have another car to drive and we get to race with each other, which I think is insane. It's a terrible idea. On paper, it does not make sense, because if you beat your wife, you get stuck to the couch for eternity.
Yep.
Yeah,
You never get to sleep in the bed again. And if you lose,
Yep.
you have to look at yourself in the mirror
Yep.
twice a day and go, I got
Yep.
my ass kicked by my wife.
Yep.
And all your buddies are going to say you got your ass kicked by your wife. So
Yeah.
that's just the reality of it.
Has a husband and wife ever raced against each other?
I think they have. I don't know if it was at the top fuel or funny car level, but I do know there's been multiple husband and wife combinations.
Hey, she's like a driver too, right? Like,
Yeah, and she's every bit as competitive, if not more competitive, than I am. So we both hate to lose. I think she might hate to lose maybe a little worse than me, but she would get excessive celebration penalties for every time that she beat me, because she would rub it in my face. for
Yeah,
sure.
well, that is something.
But I would expect that from
Yeah,
her.
as you
I would
should.
want
yeah.
her to be that way.
That's a good relationship, sounds like. It would be hard to celebrate that because you can't get out of the car. I mean, it took me like 30 seconds to get out of the car because how fat my ass is.
It's
so
hot.
You guys, and it's hot as shit. And you don't really know if you won yet, right? Whenever the race ends, you don't know if you won.
You actually do. There's two little lights on the wall, and when you get to the end of the run, if your light's on, you know you won. If that light's not on, you know your competitor won.
Okay, so you start on Friday, right? You start on Friday. We got trials.
We got one round of qualifying Friday night, which night qualifying is awesome to see the flames off of these
Thousands
cars.
of fans will be there. Thousands and thousands of fans. They fill this place up. It's like a smaller state fair almost, with the everything in the middle. Had a few beers at one of these events. Great corn. You got state fair food there. Good crowd.
The
A lot
best
of
crowds out here, I'm assuming.
Yeah, this is a big event. This is huge. So one round of qualifying Friday, 2 rounds of qualifying on Saturday and Sunday, and then the races and eliminations are on Sunday or on Monday.
on Monday against each other.
Yes.
Got it.
So it's just like a 16 field bracket. So just like a NCAA bracket, go from 16 to 8 to 4 to 2.
Is it time or speed? What is?
It is literally who gets to that finish line first. It doesn't matter if you left a second after I did, but your car was a second and a half faster. you'd beat me by a half second.
Got it. So you
it's
can run
literally who gets there
334,
first.
but if it took you a little bit longer to get up there than somebody else that was able to get there quicker, they win the race. They
Correct. Exactly.
win. Got it. Well, good luck out there.
Thank you.
Smoke, thank you so much
Yeah.
for letting us do
Appreciate
that.
it.
Yeah, it
Good
was
to see
awesome.
you guys.
I mean, I can't believe I did think like, wait, I've seen they wear fire suits for a reason as that thing was getting started up.
Sure.
And I think if you watch me back, I look around and I'm like, I think I trust these guys.
Yeah, they
These
know.
guys build a.
You were looking for the fire extinguisher, weren't you?
I was wondering. I was like, these guys build a good engine. Yeah, these guys build a good engine. But then when you stood right next to me, I was like, all right, well, at
We're
least
good.
if I go down,
And that's the
Smoke's
thing
going
about
down
this.
as well.
It's not just what we do. I mean, we talked about that 40-minute turnaround time. Every one of those guys, we as
Count.
drivers trust them with our lives because if they make a mistake, that thing could be on fire, the car could crash. I mean, we trust our guys, and we are a tight family unit, and everything they do is precise. I mean, these guys are great at what they do, and they all have their individual specialties of what they are responsible for on the car, but it is ultimately what keeps us safe in the car and what makes it go fast at the same time.
real talent.
Yeah.
They're real talent. And if you have weapons in that department, you win more races. I think that's clear across all fronts. Even F1. Have you ever raced F1?
I've driven an F1 car. I drove Lewis Hamilton's car. We did a seat swap. So he drove the
shit.
Cup car for 4 laps. I drove the Formula 1 car 4 laps.
Dope.
Do you think you'd be able to, if you went over there?
I weigh too much to race with those little skinny guys. So
America.
And I'm not going on a
Yeah.
diet.
Yeah. Amen.
America.
No thanks.
The U.S. Nationals this weekend for NHRA all weekend long here in the west side of Indianapolis, Indiana. We got cars going 330 miles an hour in a quarter mile. 12G swing on bodies, incredible engineering, and an electric environment. People, how could you not when is right in front of you? They talk about the pink slips in the show, drag racing and everything like that. It has always been fun to see whose engine is better than the other. And whenever it's happening at this high of a level, it is always a spectacle. Can't wait to see the Tony Stewart racing team and that beautiful new paint scheme take the track this weekend. Congrats on everything, Smoke, and thank you for stopping by.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
That thing was loud.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, had earbuds in, could still felt like I didn't.
It was so hot. It was also so bright outside.
It is
Yeah.
very bright out.
It was so hot and bright outside. I'm happy you guys kind of waited it out for us. We are so sorry. We did not know you were bringing your whole fucking team here. We would have been able to create more spots. Good. The boys watched, I think some of the boys watched the program. So
nice.
we appreciate the hell out of you guys for letting us be a part of your day
boys.
today. Good luck this weekend. Have fun. Be safe. Ladies and gentlemen, Tony Smoke Stewart.